Hello viewers and our students. This is Mount Kenya University coming to you right from your house. Our unit is the Rights of Children and Protection, BEC 2203. Straight to our lesson. I'm Kamaubi, the teacher. We have had a discussion on the list of rights that we should accord to our children in the land, in the region, and in the world. And I want to draw your attention to some legal documents that we are going to be seeing in our exposition of the unit, Rights of Children and Protection. The 4 documents we are going to see, each one of them, in as much as they overlap in terms of their contents, you realize each one of them have the relevance of their context, starting with whatever we are seeing as United Nations Conventions on the Right of the Child. Call it UNCRC. It came into force in 1989 to address the plight of the global child. This is a worldwide document. And that's why it is the United Nations. Inasmuch as every nation may not be included here, all those nations that are in the United Nations are the ones that are meant to accord their children rights that are spelled in this one, because they are the nations that have ratified, that have signed the consent into according their children the rights that are specified here. The second one is regional and extracted from the global one. You can see it is the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. It came into force in 1990. And as you can see the chronology, if I call it so, the first one, UNCRC, 1989. The second one, ACWLC, 1990. Because when we looked at the first document, you could see there are some things that must be and should be customized into our context of the Africans. Remember, in Africa, we are more of Ubuntu people. We are more of people who work together, people who are closer together, people who are more articulate. I'm looking for ones whereby we are going to see ourselves as Africans, as one people. Meaning, it never came into force or it never came into being carved just because the UNCRC was irrelevant. No. In fact, most of the rights in the African Charter on the rights and welfare of the child are the same ones spelled in the UNCRC in the 1989. If you look at the UNCRC, you are going to realize it is coming to be a very important document, because the way it will address the plight of children or the interests of the children, it will be so holistic, very undiscriminative. We shall see, and you are going to tell that the reason as to why we are to bring the 4 with the overlapping of the contents, and again, all aimed at one subject, the child. So we shall come and see what is this that is in the Kenyan Constitution concerning our child. If I were to ask you, how much of this would you think is in the Constitution? We have these drafts in our homes. In fact, some of us are not very sure whether the Constitution 2010, we are calling it the new Constitution, they may not tell whether it is the draft that was done in Ufungamano or the Bomas one. The new Constitution I was there also for yes and no. Why were you saying yes? Why were you saying no? Remember, our interest is the child. It has a lot about the child. And this much, you realize it is extracted again from the documents you have seen earlier, the UNCRC, the ACWC. Here, why is it so necessary? When we get to the specific lesson, you realize it is so necessary, and especially to our land here, given our special context, our ethnic settings, beliefs, customs, traditions, and you'll say, surely, I go back to be a proposer and not an opposer. We shall see some particular crops, that's chapters. What are they addressing? There are some that are addressing the succession. Some of our communities will say, no, you are a girl, you can't inherit from here. There are some chapters that will address the issue of oathing. Then you will tell me, and why did I see a child taking an oath? We shall come seeing all that. But this time, from here you realize you'll be looking at every interest of the child, anything happening to the child from an informed opinion. I appreciate that most of us have been there for the children, very responsible, very protective, very supportive, but they never had this know-how. So if you have got it right, well and good. If you need to know much, that's why we are here. And that's why I'm not only addressing our students in Mount Kenya University, I'm also addressing you, the parent in the house, the house help from that seat, you social worker from that desk, my beloved police people from that point, which at times is dread. We have that Kenya Constitution, a whole chapter on it, that is chapter 586 of the Kenyan laws. Cap 586, that was done to a whole document precisely now addressing the interests of the child. And that is how we have come up with the Children's Act, year 2001. Some of us are critics of this document. Why? As a teacher, you are sure, if it's a time when I was in school, this would not be a pointer alone. Most of what it would be, it is a whip to lash and to make sure everybody gets into some disciplinary levels. But if you look at the Children's Act, as recent as it has been done, you realize it traces its contents from back to when we had the UNCRC. What has just been done is the listing of what is of interest of the child. It is nothing new. It is nothing new. And all of us will agree with me that we hardly go for 2 or 3 days in our television footages without seeing something that has been done to the child, of which even in your case, you just twist your head. What it just says, hey, aki watu ni wanyama. Yeah, in as much as ni wanyama, why do they get themselves into this? How can these children get themselves understood from their points of feeling if it is not just in this way of having whatever is of their interest listed? So, these documents are legal. That's why I've taken a few moments to discuss them. Legal documents at times, it's like they are hard to crack. But we shall be going bit by bit, simplifying whatever contents they have. And one thing I must appreciate, most of you, you realize this is what you have always done. Very briefly, when I get to those particular rights, apparently I'll be talking of some pillars that will anchor this kid to realize and experience a good breakthrough in their growth and development. Growth and development. Growth is how we conceive them enlarging in size, in height, and in weight. Development is how we shall see them getting from one quality to the next in their doing of things. And that is when all of us caregivers, starting with the parents, coming to ourselves teachers, that's when we shall say, we are bringing up productive materials. I will not come saying, this right is for survival, this right is for developmental, this right is for protectional, and this one is for participational pillar. But as I will be explaining them, I want you to take this as a very big assignment, which you should take at the end of this lesson. I will not have written it, but take this assignment from here. When I say the right to play, can a child survive? Can they have life without playing? If it is yes, then it is not survival. What does play do to this child? It kind of gives them good body, posture, functioning. Then that is where development is coming in. But if you feel that if this circulation is not good, if this function of the body is not right, then the survival of this kid will be in danger. Then that qualifies that particular right, again, to overlap to survival and development. Of course, I can tell, right to play is not a protectional right. There is no harm that is getting the child when they are doing whatever they are doing in terms of play. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth and nose. Whom have I hurt? How have I hurt myself? So, mine is just to help you, to usher you through how do you place what right to whatever pillar. Mark pillar. We lose one, then we have an imbalanced child. Participational. When I'm saying head, shoulders, knees, and toes, am I doing something? Am I involved? Am I engaged? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, eyes, ears, mouth and nose. Yes, I'm getting involved. As a teacher, if you tell them to do that, and one is just there as a stooge, I can imagine how you can get mad. But again, remember, if you're a mechanical teacher, this is not a very good era for you. The age of mechanically controlling children, to me and with me, it is long gone. You are one to know how to manipulate your learners. And even withdraw the manipulation. How do you lure your learners? And even withdrawing the luring, how do you entice your learners to get involved, to get engaged, to get into whatever you want them to do. And that's why I would ask you, are you mwalimu bora au bora mwalimu? Don't answer me. Our learners are our best assessors, not yourself even. Well, should I say it? Did I come with the rights of children and protection so that I may just leave a child somewhere in an utopia of their own with no obligation to do? By any means, no. Rights will always go with the responsibilities. Proponents, rights will always go with the responsibilities. Opponents, rights will always go with the responsibilities. This kid has what they have to do because they are living in a family, in a community, in a society. So come expounding that level of interaction. If they don't have any responsibility, then they will always infringe on others' rights. And that is when, again, we are going to have a one disharmonized society which has a lot of confusion. This kid, from the family level, is expected to work for the family cohesion. That is their duty. That is their responsibility. Anytime the child is bringing in issues that are bringing conflict, either to the parents or to any member of the society, that one gets out of their rights. Remember, rights will always go with responsibilities. Where their rights end, their responsibilities start. Where their responsibilities end, their rights start. I'll come to that. So, when it comes to family cohesion, this is a duty of a child to bring together, to bring intact this most basic unit of the society called the family. A very fundamental unit. We get it wrong in the family, we get it all wrong in all our social institutions. The church, the school, name them. And that's why, as a teacher, the much I appreciate about you is how you kind of harmonize the different background cultures of these children, especially the home cultures. They're very challenging. I understand. Come to the serving of their national community through their physical strength and their intellectual abilities. We appreciate the aspect of the youth service. We appreciate the aspect of how they serve in the churches. We appreciate the aspects of their being involved in the 4K clubs in the school. And other areas of the school. And best of it is now that we are having a CBC, that we are finding you, mobilizing them to even clean the markets. Yes, physically and intellectually. At least we can see them doing something. And the issue is, remember, when it comes to intellect, this is where we are witnesses that the innovations have taken us very far. The innovations. Do you bear witness with me that whatever we call M-Pesa, it is a local idea? So as a Kenyan teacher, in as much as I'm speaking to also those who are across the country, this is something that you should be proud of, that whatever it is that you're doing to these children, you must not be on the upper side of it. But the minute you allow these children to come out as themselves, then they come actualizing themselves. And by actualizing themselves, they want to come out to show the much they can do. And this is what we call prowess. Look at the preserving and strengthening of their social and national solidarity. Preserving. They are preserving what we have given them. And more so, what they have seen. Look at what we can see here. Strengthening. They are strengthening of already whatever is in place. So this comes as a challenge. As adults, teachers, parents, and whoever we are, how much have we given them some threshold from where they can preserve and strengthen? And in this case, we are talking of social. That is their level of interaction and association, one with the other, with the fellow countrymen, and in this case, national solidarity. I don't want to enter into you as teachers, to enter into you as teachers. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. The next bit, you know how you come winding it up. I would wish this song to shift, to come to our learners, and they be singing this in unison and with agreement to the values that can usher our nation to some next level, a habitable level. It is their duty to preserve and strengthen the African values. Remember, we are saying we have a global instrument, we have a regional instrument, and this is where we can see it very clearly, that there are values we uphold as Africans, of which, in as much as they may not be irrelevant to the rest, they may not make a lot of meaning to them. But to us, as an adult, I expect respect from my young one. But do I command it or do I demand it? Preserving and strengthening the independence and integrity of his country. What is this independence and what is this integrity? Independence is the autonomy. Integrity is this aspect whereby this kid should learn to do the right thing even when no one is watching them. But mark this challenge. They are just preserving and strengthening. What? They are not innovating anything new. They are just coming up, preserving and strengthening that which you have exposed them to. Kabuti huka mwenyewe. We are all over complaining these children have not disciplined. These children have not what. The issue is, how much have we modeled them to whatever we want them to become? And from there, they will always preserve and strengthen. At a time like now, whoever has a value, the way they are kind of bringing it out even to their own people, that is their own age set. Remember, they are the people now who are talking Sheng. That is their lingua franca, a language which they can understand, many of them. Meaning, they may speak in your presence, you may not tell much of what they are saying. But they know whatever it is that they are saying is something that is still in the parameters of the values, of the attitudes that have been instilled in them. This is just to preserve and to strengthen. Meaning, remember, at the bottom line there still lingers an idea of African unity. Remember my concept of the window of hope. This far, ever since the discussion started about coming with the African unity, whichever has been the OAU, well, there are some aspects that have not been arrived at in the manner that would be expected. So these are the children we are expecting, that the far they are coming up, they'll kind of come, streamlining whatever efforts we would expect, and one day we shall have a habitable, a unison continent called Africa that will be having its own dignity. We initiate it now by their proper development, and we shall never regret. So, Basically what I meant is that we are not kind of discussing the rights of these children so that they may become people who cannot be told, people who cannot hear from anyone in the name of directing them, guiding them, and at times counseling them. No, the issue is we shall come seeing, in as much as the biggest discussion is about them. What rights are you having, you as an adult? And in this case, I would like to be so much precise on the parents. And in this case, on the parenting. This is where many things have fallen apart. Some things need to be made clear. In fact, very clear. Let's see. As a parent, I'm expecting you to do exactly what you have always known. Is it in a different manner? Okay, well, here we are just setting the standard. If you have any better, higher quality, welcome, appreciated, and accommodated. Maintaining the child in terms of providing the physiological needs, it is the work of the parent. Providing food, clothing, shelter, education, whatever it is that the child needs to grow and develop well, it is the work of that parent. Protecting the child from what? Physically, mentally, emotionally, because you realize our children, at times, there is very outward and explicit violation, abuse, neglect. But when it comes to protecting, I would like it to be more expanded, that with the knowledge you have as a parent, there are times you will come to see the rights you have given you is to guide this kid. So you are guiding them from whatever can harm them. Giving guidance, in this case I'm precise on religious education, cultural values of what? Number one, not the child's ethnic setting. It is the immediate community, because that is where they will fit. When it comes to the country, we are not talking of the society. Community is where they have geographically been concentrated, living there with some people who may not be of the ethnic setting, but with these people, you share same facilities, you share same aspirations, you share same problems. Meaning, this kid has more to learn on how to live with the others. And that way, you are going to get it all right. Remember, whatever success they may register in life, it is good to say here, 75% will be social-based. Parent, ensure moral and social upbringing of this kid. Moral is all about what is good and what is bad. It may be relative, it may depend on the context, but the minute we brought up an assertive child, we see this is a child who can say no to anything that is bad, who can say yes to anything that is good. Meaning, there's not much word there, but social. Living together, interacting together, sharing together, turn-taking together, whatever it is that has to do one with the other. Because as a human being, you're a social being, and I'm telling you, no man will ever be an island. Look at what we are calling naming the child. This is just not naming. It is giving a kid a name that depicts or that shows success and dignity. Not just another name. And the law is strict on that. I'm looking at that. It's like I've started now getting to some other levels whereby, in as much as they are so obvious, it's like they are having a lot. Yes, the answer is true. There is much that meets the eye. So let's meet in the next lesson, and we see why are we having some children even accusing in the courts of law, suing their parents just because of a name that they were given. Let us see why. Where are some parents going and getting it wrong, and they are ending up finding themselves in conflict with the law, and these suits emanating from their children. This is because, as trivial as they may be seen, there is that parental responsibility that our parents should uphold very well, very articulately, and with that, we are going to get along with our children in the most blessed way. Let's meet in the next lesson.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.